K-pop, the newest trend in music. Korean pop music, rap, rock, you name it, it's all under one umbrella, K-pop. And today we're going to discover it's not just for the millennials and the zoomers. Oh, no, no, no. This, we're going to find out, is for middle-aged Yakuzas, too. What's up, everyone? It's Carrie, aka Nerdygirlcreates. Welcome back to my channel. It's Manga Monday, and we are going to talk about a series that I just read, and I will be continuing to read, so you already know I liked it. But let's get into it. We are going to talk about the Yakuza's Bias. Now, for those who don't know, this is from Kodansha, and it's written by Teki Yatsuda, and he was a famous BL author in manga, but this book, I wouldn't really call it BL. It focuses on a middle-aged Yakuza enforcer named Ken Kanashiro, and he's very, very serious about his position. He's second in command to the bigwig. He takes loyalty very seriously. He's a hard worker. He does everything he can to impress the boss, and he makes sure he gets his job done, and there's no evidence left behind. Well, one day, Megumi, and I think that's how you say her name, who's the daughter of the boss, convinces Ken to join her to go see a K-pop group in concert. At first, Ken is just completely like, no, not interested. That's for you kids. I am not going to get dragged to that. And after showing him a documentary, he becomes impressed with one of the members named June, who seems to put in a lot of hard work and devotion and does everything he can to keep the group together and, you know, keep everything on track. So he goes to the show and watches them in person, and he has this cute little interaction with June. And before you know it, Ken has fallen down the rabbit hole of K-pop. This tough-ass Yakuza assassin, fully tat with a scar across his face, probably in his mid-40s, sitting there in his office with posters of June and the rest of the group, collecting all these CDs and the concert series and getting the buttons, and he's involved in like online fan fiction. I'm not joking, he did a fan fiction where he reimagined June as like the member of a Yakuza. Oh yeah, he's there talking about how great June is. There's also a funny interaction with a rival from another Yakuza gang who accidentally also finds himself liking one of the members of the same group. There is even like this cute interaction with the group themselves, where June is remembering Ken at the show and being really impressed that somebody of that age was like a fan, and just kind of like finds his fanfic, not knowing it's the same person at first, and starts emulating it. It's really a lot of fun, because I think people who are older don't get taken seriously when they're into certain hobbies. I really do like K-pop. I wouldn't call myself the biggest stan. I got into it accidentally, like in early 2000s, because of anime. And let me explain what I mean by that. I fell in love with a lot of different anime theme songs, ending songs, so I used to check out who the artist was and follow them. And then I stumbled across some artists who were releasing songs in Japan who were actually from Korea. And then I found their music, and I would say the first big group I was really heavily into, and I still am, even though they're not really putting out much anymore except solo work, would be Big Bang. Now, if you don't know who Big Bang is, they're known as the kings of K-pop. They are from YG Entertainment. They were the first ones to do kind of more of a gritty hip-hop with some R&B vocals. You've got G-Dragon, who's probably one of the biggest celebrities out of Korea. He's also become pretty famous in the fashion circles. He even shows up at Paris Fashion Week, if I can only speak. I think he's also an ambassador for Chanel. There's T.O.P, who is like my favorite member. He's another rapper in the group. He's also done a lot of solo and done a lot of like modeling for very big companies. He's done acting too. He's got some K-drama roles out there that are really good. I'd recommend checking out. He's also supposed to be going on the Elon Musk shuttle to space. He's one of the celebrities doing that. Don't know why. I know he's had some controversy. To me, being from outside of Korea, what he got in trouble for was very minor, but the country itself dealt with it differently. He had some depression issues, and was taking some. He was smoking marijuana, which is a big no-no over there, and kind of got in trouble while he was in the army. But not to get off track, yeah, I became really big into Big Bang, which led me to find some other groups. There was God, who's an even older K-pop group. There was Boa, who I don't hear much more anymore from her. Rain, who I think a lot of people over here will know better as an actor. He was in Ninja Assassin. And then it moved into like BTS and Stray Kids and GOT7 and Blackpink. And I even like New Jeans now, who's a newer group. BTS, of course, is one of those I follow the most, but I'm more of a fan of their older stuff, which I think sometimes pisses off the really hardcore fan base, which is something that gets brought up a lot in this manga. There's a lot of fan feuding over who's the better members and everything. I like BTS, but if you go back and listen to their older songs, for me, they're much, much better. But again, at my age, it seems a little unusual for somebody to be into K-pop, but I can at least say I was into it way before it became a big thing over here, okay, people? Not to brag. Yeah, you look at Ken and, like, nobody takes him serious. There's another member of the, Yakuza who's kind of like second in command to Ken, who thinks something else is going on with Ken, and he starts to worry and thinks that maybe Ken is either betraying the family or corrupting the daughter into something. And when he finally finds out what it is, he's kind of stunned and disappointed at the same time. There's also another member who's just kind of like another member of the Yakuza who's just kind of like, he might actually be into it without having to like really get his over the top like Ken is, but he kind of like not bothered by it as much as this other guy. Uh Again, there's the rival who ends up, they kind of bond over K-pop. It's kind of funny because there's a part where they both end up at a concert together and both are checking out their stands up there. There's nothing like a sexual attraction between Ken and the character June. It's more of an admiration because, like I said earlier, Ken is really really big on loyalty and really big on like being devoted to the team and being somebody who pushes everybody to do their best and puts in the hard work. And when he like does all this research on June and finds us out, he is just in awe of that. That's what he admires. June kind of reminds me a lot of RM from BTS. Now, if you don't know about BTS, RM is like the leader of the group, because in K-pop they always establish somebody as the leader. They kind of like pick everybody's positions based on their personalities and who they think would be best fitted for it. So you have RM, who's like the lead rapper for BTS. He is this very hard-working guy, from what you can see in documentaries and everything. He's also highly intelligent. He is like I said, the lead rapper. He's also kind of goofy and also kind of, there's a big thing going around about him. I kind of feel bad because like a couple videos got out of him being very klutzy, and that's become kind of like the endearing quality about him. But June kind of reminds me of him a lot. Like, June is kind of like, oh my god, look at this. Like, oh wow, this dude is like a big fan of mine. It's like he's very happy to see that there's a guy who's a big fan of his, because it seems like the other members get more of the fans than he does, which I kind of feel like happens to RM a lot. I think RM gets a lot more male fans because of his rapping and skills. But you kind of like look at this character, you see a lot of similarities between the two, plus like other members in there kind of remind you of other members of BTS. There's the youngest, who's kind of like the Jungkook, who's the popular one, and again, it's again the influence of K-pop has spread so much outside of Korea. You've now got Japan doing manga series on it. You've got webtoons on it. I've talked about those. Um, you've got Sugar from BTS being an ambassador for NBA because he's a big basketball fan. So it's not surprising, like, you're gonna find people who you wouldn't expect to be fans. Like, I know John Cena has become a big K-pop fan. He talks about it all the time. So it's kind of nice to see somebody who's older, like, indulging in this hobby of just being a big fan of a group. And yes, at times it's detrimental to his business, but you also see that he's found some kind of happiness because his life has been very dark and dangerous, and he's always been very serious. There's even a moment where he smiles and somebody points out, I've never seen Ken smile. And he's just like happy, like he's finding joy in this. And I think that's the point of like these groups, and not just necessarily K-pop groups, but like for different people, they find meaning in music. And I think music plays like a really important part in people's lives. It doesn't matter if it's K-pop, it doesn't matter if it's metal, it doesn't matter if it's country music or rap or whatever. People find a lot of joy in music, and you almost can like create the soundtrack to your life with songs. I remember, again, being old, doing mixtapes, okay? Because this was before you could record on CDs. That old, yes. Um, you know, just being able to enjoy something, just kind of have something to set the mood for what you're feeling at that time. Even like sitting and writing, like people who are creative will listen to music to kind of like develop the atmosphere of the story they're creating. Music, I think, is just so universal, and I think K-pop is a big example of that because it's become so popular in countries where they don't speak Korean. I mean, here in the States, so many people have gotten into K-pop and don't know most of the time what they're saying, but I think it translates past language. It becomes more about the feelings it gives you. You see some of these guys, I know a lot of the times it could be just this big act that they gotta put on because everybody plays a role in these K-pop groups, but they become inspiring. And I think especially now, you don't have too many role models like you used to have. I talk about it on other channels with comic books. Like a lot of these characters that are heroes to people seem to be getting torn down a lot, then built up and being able to do what they were meant to be doing, and what they're not standing for what they're supposed to be standing for. You've got movies where you've got heroes and they seem to be getting torn down and changed, and I think people are looking for something optimistic and something that makes them feel like, okay, I can overcome. And I think music does that. And something like K-pop kind of embraces an old school vibe of like a positive image and good role models, even though maybe secretly they're not. But that's not the point for when they're in front of the camera until it gets exposed. But I think they put on like this, hey, look, I worked really hard and I became really successful, and you have no idea exactly of like the amount of sacrifice I had to make in order to be here, but here I am, I'm singing, I love being with the fans, I love seeing everybody sing along with our songs, and we kind of come together. It doesn't matter race, religion, gender identity, or any of that stuff. We're just here because we are fans. It doesn't matter your age, you know? It doesn't matter if you know what I'm saying or you don't know what I'm saying. And I think that's a big reason, in my opinion, I see K-pop becoming, why it's become so big in countries where people don't speak the language. I think it's also the same reason stuff like K-drama and anime has become so big, because people are looking for something where nothing is always kind of reminding you of what is going on in reality. And I think that's what's been hindering a lot of like Western entertainment, even in music, okay? Because there's not too many new people I listen to in music anymore. It's become like, oh, you have to be constantly reminded about what's happening outside at that moment. You're getting bombarded by it by news. You're getting bombarded by it in comic books. You're getting bombarded by it in movies and TV shows, and you just want to like escape from that. And people are looking desperately, and I think that's one of the reasons these idols have become such a big hit. I know I'm being redundant at this point, but it's, I think, also the reason why so many different types of foreign media are becoming embraced in the West, because it's just, you know, you can't constantly be bombarded with all this shit. You want something that lifts you up and makes you feel good, and I think that's what's going on here with Ken in this. Ken is like living in this world that's like pretty much a Martin Scorsese horror film. Like, you know, he's yes, he may have chosen this life, but you know, he even he needs a break. He wants something to be a light in that dim, dark room he's put himself in. You know, he wants to be reminded of the good in the world. And I think it's just a really good story, and maybe I'm going way overboard with my explanation of it. But I do like it. I can't wait to see where it goes. At some point, you know, like, Ken's world is going to clash with June's world at some point, because somebody's going to use this to their advantage to get to Ken, or who knows. But it's also nice to see, like, this person finding this happiness. And at the same point, I forgot to mention, June himself is kind of finding inspiration in Ken's, like, fan fiction. And trust me, there are plenty of K-pop fan fictions out there. So if you haven't read them, I don't really read them because some of these people get a little insane for me. But hey, you do you, okay? But yeah, that is the Yakuza's Bias. I highly recommend it. Speaking of manga, I do want to remind everybody, I have an affiliate link down below for Right Stuff Anime. They've got their big summer sale coming up, so if you want to check that out and you're looking for some great deals on that, go ahead, click the link down below. Also, Otaku Tuesday will be back this Tuesday. Even if it's just me on there, it'll be back. And I got a big announcement coming up about Patreon, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I want to say, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know, is there any other series like K-pop related that you love, or music related that you love I should check out? I really want to hear from you guys because I love you guys a lot. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. For now, bye.